All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble. I do see about 100 people waiting. Chat is working, so I don't think we'll have any problems. We have to talk about the Antisemitism Awareness Bill because it's a bad idea. And this is embraced by both Republicans and Democrats. Whenever there's a largely bipartisan effort, House vote was 320 to 91. You can be assured that it's a stinker. This one directly attacks the First Amendment and the ability of people to speak and express themselves freely. So we'll talk about that. It's concerning. I have a feeling that it'll be injuncted by the courts, and then people, oddly enough, they'll scream about Nazis or something. We've got the UNC Rager that's coming. They've raised almost $300,000 actually for their Rager party. We'll get into what actually happened there. It's probably higher by now. They were asking for $5,000 for them to hold a party because they were upholding the flag in the face of pro-Palestinian protesters. They were trying to, I guess, rip it down, and they wouldn't let it touch the ground and told them to go pound sand, basically. They've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for a Rager party. We'll get into what that will buy them. I have a feeling that it's not all going to go to a Rager in the end, nor should it actually. Yeah, a $5,000 Rager party is perfectly acceptable for a frat. That's going to be pretty posh already. You're talking about as much beer as you can guzzle, all the barbecue, and having the local rock band come in. I have a feeling they'll be able to have something even more star-studded. They could, in fact, turn it into a political display if they had their druthers. We'll talk about as well, Columbia protester mocked after asking for food for occupiers. Yes, indeed, a slightly rotund protester complaining that they didn't have food and that Ivy League schools should provide students who had occupied a building with food and basic humanitarian aid. I'm going to get into the hyperbole there because, I mean, it's mysterious as to why this individual considers herself a serious individual. Really strange, actually. It's a little confusing. By the way, we've got the Harvard Garden, the Solidarity Garden. We're not going to talk about that in the live stream. I'm still waiting. If anyone out there has footage of the Harvard Solidarity Garden that they've put up there, it looks like it might turn into Chaz 2.0, like the Chaz Garden. And I'm going to put that away for a rainy day. Like the next time that I have a shitty day, I'm just going to open that up and I'm going to die laughing. And then I'll forget that I was ever upset in the first place. I have that ability. Daniel Radcliffe is really sad about J.K. Rowling's anti-trans rhetoric. She understands that women actually exist, and this bothers him for some reason. Like, dude, yeah, you never had the hots for Emma Watson while you were on set. Surely, that never happened. Never occurred. Yeah, you don't know what a woman is, Harry. You're a retard, Harry. Biden taking aim at Trump's tax cuts and in the process actually lying to people. I mean, that's normal for Joe Biden. He wants to let the Trump tax cuts expire and then raise the business tax rate, which would literally cripple the economy right now, should it be done. And also, we've got new findings from Mars. Turns out that due to manganese deposits there, it is very likely that there were Earth-like conditions there, at least at some time in the past. I personally believe you're likely to find subterranean life on Mars. It would be just bacteria or something like that. I do believe that it's there. It's likely. Drake's equation would definitely get quite a kick in the ass if they find that. So yeah, we'll be talking about all that and more. Like the WAP, clank, motherfuckers, clank, I say. Tarl the Tooth, Warwick's abandoned daughter. Not only is mommy single, she's DTF, dashing rogue. Zach Webster, good afternoon. Dick Sex and Hammered. Not hammered, no. Skyclad Wanderer, slingshot ready to go. DM address, please. K, thanks. Please bump that to the top on the DMs because, again, I get, 50 plus messages a day, and so sometimes things get lost. It's difficult for me to organize things. I'm a doer, not an organizer. Other people have to help me with that shit. Sparky, greetings, fearless leader. Greetings to you as well. Panic at the Bistro. She spank on my blank till I clank. BW. Good morning, Sticks. Do you think the polls about Trump losing 60% of support of whole population if he is convicted is true? No, I not even close. And do you have any hope for Gen Z? Too many migrants in that gen. I have more hope for Gen Z than for the millennials at this point. No, I think that if Trump is convicted, I think actually he probably gains support. You got to understand that cohort includes virtually all Democrats anyway, and people who are left-leaning independents. They're not going to vote for Trump regardless. Nick Ray 47, been a while since I've chatted. Why would you support DeSantis for president in the future after red flag laws, HB 269, and his betrayal of Trump during the first indictment? Well, a man can change. We'll have to see where he goes and meanders with regards to those things. I do condemn HB 269, and my predictions about it were correct. I would note that on red flag laws, I'm not a hypocrite, and Trump pushed the same basic concept. As far as during the first indictment, yeah, he offhanded at Donald Trump, but he was running against him. That's political theater. Doc Holliday, I want to see the National Guard go full Kent State on the paid terrorists. I don't want to see anyone harmed. Anyway, we'll get right into it. The House voted to expand the definition of anti-Semitism. Now, and this bill is basically anti-free speech, anti-free expression. The House voted to expand the legal definition of anti-Semitism used to enforce anti-discrimination laws at a time when anti-Israel or pro-Palestine, keep that in mind, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, are raging at college campuses across the country. The bill overwhelmingly passed the House by a 320 to 91 vote, netting a majority of Republicans and Democrats. So bipartisanship, if it was a vote to create a more expansive definition of anti-Caucasianism or something like that, I doubt that it would have passed. It definitely would have passed by that margin. It would have been much more partisan. I would note that this is rather telling. We can't say too much on a YouTube live stream, but it is rather telling where their priorities are. A small proportion of Americans is vigorously defended, while a majority group is effectively just shoved aside and nobody cares about them. I don't want to see any Jewish student be prevented from going to class. I don't want to see Jewish students get shit thrown at them. I don't want to see them harassed and harangued and yelled at and things like that and verbally abused. But this is not the way to solve the problem. If anything, this means that the lame-ass government run by a gerontocracy finds itself again at odds with a significant proportion of the youth that it should be trying to attempt to reason with, but there's no reason on either side, so it's basically pointless. If passed by the Senate, which it probably will be, and signed by President Biden, as it likely will, the Bipartisan Anti-Semitism Awareness Act would mandate that the Department of Education legally adopt the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, or IHRA's, definition of anti-Semitism when enforcing anti-discrimination rules. Now, one problem about this. What's in the definition? Some of it makes sense. You're harassing somebody because they've got a yarmulke on, throwing bacon at the synagogue. Yeah, that's you're showing bigotry in those. You're agitating people in those situations. Effectively, though, it would ban on taxpayer-funded campuses any criticism of the Israeli state at all. One proportion of this, as I talked about yesterday with the quartering, one portion of their definition is holding Israel to standards that would not be held for any other democratic nation. That is a really, really malleable terminology now, isn't it? And it's very discomforting that the House of Representatives would vote this through, because it's quite clearly unconstitutional anyway. This is going to lead to a tidal wave of litigation as somebody who has a basic bitch grievance against the Israeli state is hauled in and thrown out of their campus. They're thrown out of their university or their college for simply having a socio-political opinion which might not be hateful at all under any real auspices. It's sort of like when the ADL says that this is a Nazi symbol. Milk is a Nazi symbol. Any number of numbers or acronyms under the sun is a Nazi symbol. They've also tried to claim that Pepe is generally a Nazi symbol. Are you going to kick students out of their campus for drinking milk or for doing this? That doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. Critics of the bill have attacked it as government overreach and said it would negatively impact free speech on campus. No shit. 70 Democrats voted against the bill, while 133 voted for it. On the Republican side, only 21 voted against the bill, with 187 GOP lawmakers in support. So wide-ranging bipartisanship. And when it comes to tackling the border crisis, crime, engaging in meaningful diplomacy, it's very, very much split down party lines. But this is definitely, it's something that people support. The opposition, and this is absolutely hilarious to me, was led in part by Representative Jerry Nadler, a Jewish progressive who is the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee. This definition, adopted by the International Holocaust Remembrance, or IHRA, includes, quote, contemporary examples of anti-Semitism, close quote. The problem is that these examples may include protected speech in some contexts, especially with respect to criticism of the state of Israel, Nadler said during debate on the bill. Jerry Nadler is showing more common sense than the majority of House Republicans. Why am I not surprised? This is sort of weird shit has happened before. To be clear, I vehemently disagree with the sentiments towards Israel expressing those examples, and too often criticism of Israel does in fact take the form of virulent anti-Semitism. In some cases it can. Thomas Massie also voiced his objections to the bill. Jerry Nadler and Thomas Massie are agreeing right now. Hell is frozen over. This is a poorly conceived, unconstitutional bill, and I will vote no, Massie wrote on X, along with screenshots of examples of IHRA's website of what it defines as anti-Semitism. It includes claiming that the existence of a state of Israel is a racist endeavor. That's a pedestrian opinion that some have. And drawing comparisons of contemporary Israeli policy to that of the Nazis. So in other words, if they are managing an open-air ghetto in Gaza, noticing this fact is now going to get you kicked out of your college campus, apparently, or get you fired from your job. Blatantly unconstitutional. Representative Mike Lawyer, Republican from New York. I mean, you're a New York Republican. It's quite clear you're a rhino. Who led the bill, told Fox News Digital, when people engage in harassment or bullying of Jewish individuals where they justify the killing of Jews or use blood libel or hold Jews collectively responsible for the actions of the Israeli government, that is anti-Semitic. It's unfortunate that needs to be clarified, but that's why this bill is necessary. Again, why don't you champion a separate bill that makes it so that you can kick people out of the college campus if they hold modern day white people collectively guilty for slavery or something like that? Because I don't think nobody's been kicked out of college for that now, have they? And that's a much wider cohort of people that are being blood libeled by people who are arguing for reparations because they're greedy. That won't happen, though. And you know why. Billy, haha, hand rubbing intensifies. The dashing rogue, the BPD is DTF? No thanks. Apache, to see who controls you, just see who you can't criticize. In other news, my kid was kicked out of 109 schools. It was never his fault. He's a good boy. Holden Sneedmeyer, if being let go from Fox is a possible badge of honor, Tucker, then I'll mention that Judge Napolitano has a channel on YouTube. He's good for Ukraine news, and Rand Paul went on his show recently. Cool. I like Napolitano. Not all of his takes, but many of them. Tarl the Tooth Warwick's abandoned daughter. Cuck Dad rubs his hands every time Mom gets smashed. Sparky, there have been few, if any, Jewish students harassed. It may actually be zero. It's sadly, it's not zero, but yes, most of these engagements have been just people that they're canvassing, basically. They're just protesting. There may be some setups or false flags, also possible. Crossover maniac. There should be no special law protecting one group of Americans over another. It creates a hierarchy of citizens, not unlike the old Jim Crow laws. Yeah, it's interesting, the comparison there that you can draw. Suck duck, their dual citizenship is showing. Well, Nadler's a Jew. He's the one leading the opposition to this shit. It's just, I don't know how Bernie will vote in the Senate. He'll probably, ironically, Bernie Sanders will probably vote no as well. Vij, Sticks, you've been my morning daily news for about 6 years now. Keep doing what you do. Thank you very much. Yes, I will keep it up. Mike L, do you think your FBI likes you? Yeah, my FBI handler is probably really, really sad about having to look at Andy 6 memes every single day. So, log of shit, ever changing. Sparky, many of Nadler's constituents are hardcore old school Jews who are against having a Jewish ethno-state in the first place, much less a genocidal one. Yeah, I know. There is a disconnect. There are Orthodox Jewish groups that oppose even the existence of Israel. They think it's anti-canonical, so they consider it literally a religious abomination. Captain Spire. In World War II, they made Jews less than human to make it easier to kill them. Now some Jews say, I could never be that evil. Setting them above reproach, Jews aren't superior or inferior. They're just human. Agreed. Tarl the Tooth Warwick's abandoned daughter. Mom says, you want this Amsterdam butt. Hee hee. Let's see. Cat cans. I remote viewed the toothless Tarl troll, and his peeper is actually an innie, but he was trying to beat his rocks off to your old videos from when you were single. He's very jealous. PW. Do you think we have allowed our country to become too infested with commies? Yeah. It feels like we can't make any headway with them controlling everything. The commies don't control things. The corporatists control things, and the commies are along for the ride, thinking that they're not going to get shit on in the end. They'll get theirs. Don't worry about it. Ego mayhem. Why does bipartisan always mean fuck America in the ass? I don't know. It's almost like the people in DC, by and large, want to fuck us in the ass. BW, I know that the problems we currently have are actually the conservatives' fault because we sat here for 60 years and allowed the commies to infiltrate our country, but damn, it would be nice to save U.S. Doc Holliday, I'm with you on Tulsi. I think she's absolutely sincere on her change of heart on the Second Amendment, and it would be game over. The Dems would have no chance of rigging their dementia-riddled, pants-pooping messiah. Agreed. Billy Howard, when Trump is elected, illegals will largely rush into open borders Canada. Canadians' only hope is that Trudeau's communist coalition falls apart before Trump wins, so a new mutual migrant removal pact happens. Yeah, I'm sure that plenty of them would self-deport to Canada. Well, I mean, if you want to go up to Toronto or Quebec, it's rather cold compared to Mexico or El Salvador. But Grandpa Nurgle, you can't criticize me. That's anti-Nurgletic. Holden Sneedmeyer, agreed, Tarl. Not fond of the 100% the poor students angle. Dat Pie over there. I can't believe the Jewish students in New York City didn't use secret Jew tunnels from the start of the year to invade the Hitler Youth riots. Yeah, I mean, subterranean Judaism can win the day. E. Lombard, great insight as usual. Thank you. Thank you as well. Now we've got the ultimate keg party. It's shaping up to be one for the ages. I would donate, if I could get in communication with these students at UNC, these frat boys there that were holding up the flag, I'd gladly donate money in order to get a ticket to this event because I have a feeling that it's going to be fucking lit. Originally, there were students there at UNC, and then some of the pro-Palestinian protesters, some of them are pro-Hamas as well. They were going to, I guess, rip down the U.S. flag, and they surrounded it and they kept it off the ground and re-lifted it up. And then they told one protester or rioter, however you so they told her to lose some weight and stuff like that. And so they're pretty based. And people wanted to raise money for them because this was is pretty cool. I mean, they didn't let the flag touch the ground. They re-lofted it and everything else. And so people are trying to congratulate them. And they figured, we'll throw them a party. We'll get like $5,000 together. We'll give them a really great rager party. So they'll get kegs. They'll have the local rock band come and play. We'll get a good barbecue going. They get fucking hot dogs and hamburgers and everything else they could possibly want. But it's more than $5,000 now. The campaign is now arguably $300,000. And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of party you can have with that kind of money and still have a shit ton left over. Like you could have $250,000 left over, increase it to $50,000 for your rager. What do you get for that? You can probably get like Ted Nugent for the night. You can rent out a McMansion, trash the place probably, and do it for the whole weekend, not even just one night, have a 2-night event with catering and the Rockettes and everything else you could possibly want. And you could still give each of these students like $10,000 towards their student loans, or just give it in cash if they don't have student loans. And yeah, they'll be set up. Just wait till one of them gets the good idea of deciding to brand themselves and make media appearances and do a podcast or something like that. Your college education will not be necessary. You'll get yours. Plenty of money. That would be my advice to them. Strike while the iron's hot. Never let it go cool. Trust me. Take advantage of it when you get the chance, because that chance doesn't necessarily come again in your lifetime. I was lucky to hit while the iron was hot, and that's why I'm doing what I do today. These students are patriots. They followed flag protocol, by the way. They didn't let it touch the ground. They didn't let it be sullied. There are people throwing shit at them and yelling at them and saying, oh my God, this is a symbol of white oppression, symbol of colonialism and stuff. Well, they're going to be partying hardy, and they'll have the money to hire the security to keep you away from them while they're draining their kegs. Only it won't be cheap beer this time. They'll probably get catered by a local microbrewery that'll give them a couple kegs for free or something like that. If I was a business owner over there near UNC, I'd be contacting them. I'd be ringing the phone off the hook. Please let me cater your rager. That'd be great publicity for me. And, we supply good quality beer, or wine or liquor or basically whatever else you fucking want, because you could buy the whole liquor store with this. They have the UNC liquor store, I suppose. And the liberals will have to go there to get their vodka to make their Molotov cocktails or whatever. I mean, it's going to be probably the mother of all parties. I really hope that somebody live streams it at the very least, even if I couldn't attend. It was going to be hilarious. You imagine, you know, you had 300 grand for keeping the flag off the ground. That's a pretty good deal. We need more people to do this sort of thing too. Just stand there, dare the leftists to attack you. I mean, there's enough of you there, and you know, most of the people that are ranting at you and screaming are like 5-foot-tall females, so not exactly the greatest threat in the world. E. Lombard. Oh, I did that one. Tigers on my totem, $5. Thank you very much. No comment. Anti-Piracy League. Donald Trump is the Rizzler too. Baby Gronk's on his ticket would Phenom tax his clout. He needs a Sigma with Skibbity Riz or a level 5 yacht to truly mog. I guess that's Zoomer speak. I have no clue what you're referring to. Showing my age. Major Tom. Sticks, if you were to get rid of CPS, what would you replace it with? Is having street kids better or worse than the foster care system? I have got experience actually with the state taking care of your kid system, and it's hit or miss. Honestly, they used me as a Ritalin test subject, I think, back in the 90s, and I can tell that story some other time. It's hit or miss with these places. I wouldn't get rid of CPS, but I would audit them heavily. Let's put it that way. Vij. I'm a gay dude working on the oil field in South Texas. Many people think I'm a libtard, but I tell them I'm libertarian and they don't know what to think. I've gotten so many of my coworkers now listening to you. Excellent. Yeah, that's the way to do it. I dream of a day when gay people can guard their marijuana plants with automatic weapons. I know that that's considered a meme, but I mean, it's actually my view. So, Sethro Tull 1, why do you constantly scratch your palms and fingers? Nervous habits. You know, I have a little bit of OCD. So yeah, UNC is going to have one major ass goddamn party. Oh, Jesus. Imagine, I mean, it'd be like a Gatsby party and you'd still have money left over. Cam2425IA, clank and back to work. Have fun. BW, I wish we could get a couple million of right-wing Canadians, German, Brits, and South Africans each to come here and become citizens in red areas. If they help save the U.S., it would help their country. Yeah, it would be best if we could have like an exchange of people sort of thing going on. I think that'd be a good idea. Spider Eternal. Everyone I know is getting laid off and hurting for work right now. I've been looking for 3 months with 20 years experience. This bifurcated economy isn't sustainable, but it's the strongest ever. Yeah, I know. Biden and his legacy media people keep telling us that. Christian Workman. I am white-pilled, seeing more and more people appear based in my town in California. Clank. Yeah, California won't go red, but it is improving. Anyway, let's get to our merch partners before we continue, shall we? We have pumpkinfirecrafts.us, where you can get bookmarks, keychains, belt chains, amulets, of course, one of my favorites, engraved spoons, and more available now as well. I believe you use code STICKS there also. BiltongUSA.com. Again, use code STICKS for free shipping there, where you can get delicious biltong. The venison, I believe Anton said the other day, is sold out, although it's delicious, so that's not a huge surprise. Get some carbonacci. Get some bison. Trust me, the shredded bison is really great. You can get it shredded or in stick form and stuff like that. The Angus is good. It's got kind of a nutmeggy flavor. And you can also get Sticks Hexenhammer merchandise there as well. We've got mugs, tumblers, and shirts. wickedneedleembroidery.bigcartel.com, where you can get Sticks Hexenhammer hats, such as this one, which again has a little bit of cat lint on it at the moment. Several designs and colors available, of course. HeritageHeirloomSeedCompany.com, home of the Seed Survival Bucket, and now also the Sticks Hexenhammer Soap Box. Yes, there is a special soap that they've made. It has clove, cedar, and blueberry, and it's probably my favorite soap ever. And not just because it's Sticks Hexenhammer official soap. It just smells good. That's why I asked them to put those scents in there. So you can get that at a discount as well. And it's got a bunch of other stuff there. It's not just the Sticks soap that you get. Websterswares.com/Sticks-Wares, where you can get various Sticks merchandise. Beanies now available, of course. That'll, I think, be a fun one for some people, sort of an homage to Tim Pool. And also, they've got Trump paraphernalia and more miscellanea available also. Jamnbean.com. That's JAMNbean.com, where you can get delicious coffee and tea. I always promote the Costa Rica blend. It is my favorite, and I'm not going to lie about it. I mean, drink it all day if I can. And it doesn't give you the jitters as much either. Delicious, smooth. Their tea blends are really nice as well. And finally, MTPew, that's MTPEW.com, where you can get ammunition. Yes, new or range brass. There's 40 Smith & Wesson, 45, 9, 5.56, 223, and a variety of others available there as well. Bearded Grizzly ammunition brand, of course. Let's see. Aquafan, Forbes. RFK Jr. demands Biden take no spoiler pledge to drop out of race if polls show he can't beat Trump. That's not going to happen. Webster's Wares, Morning Clankers from Endicott, Washington. Free shipping using code STICKS at websterswares.com. The quartering stream yesterday was fun. Yes, there will be another tomorrow, by the way, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. I will be live with the quartering yet again. B. Crow, thanks for all your work in articulating your views. Take my colorful Canadian funny money. Clank on, everyone. Yeah, have you noticed that more and more currencies are literally colored the same as monopoly money? I think Canadian now is too. U.S. currency, kind of. It's low-key. European currency, they just went all out. The euro literally looks like monopoly money for the color scheme. King James IX, let's make no voter ID in pro-mail-in voting states regret their life choices by requesting mail-in ballots and voting Trump en masse. Clank on. Yeah, vote early and often. You know, that's the old liberal moniker, I guess. Zachary Antle. Hey, man, I want to write and direct movies, so a lot of my skills involve editing and cinematography. I don't know if they're super practical or not. What you think? Yeah, I mean, if you can make it, you can make it. You don't have to necessarily try to be the next Steven Spielberg or the next Kubrick or something like that. But if you're into that, if you're interested in it, you'll apply yourself more. I think it's bullshit when people say, well, don't train for the job you want. Just train for a job that's like achievable or something, something that'll pay the bills. I disagree because you won't work as hard. In a meritocratic situation, you should go with your dreams. That's what I did. Felix Fanboy Rico, Sticks, your hair and skin look fabulous. It's giving. Yeah, no, my skin looks a little bit sunburnt, I think, at this point. I don't know. My hair hasn't been washed in a couple of days. Somehow it sometimes looks better when I don't wash it regularly. Vij, I love Gnome for VP over Gabbard. What is the Gnome v. Gabbard thing to you? Again, love from a gay oil field guy. I'd support either one of them. The problem with Gnome is that the dog story is going to hurt her with independent voters. It shouldn't. It's explainable. It's totally normal in rural America. Trump's already got rural America, though. He has to appeal to the suburbanites. I agree with the quartering on that, basically. Jim Morrison, Tulsi 100%. Don't forget to reference her experience in the House and her takedown of Kamala Harris in 2016. I did vote for her here in California in 2020. Yes, Tulsi Gabbard already laid waste to her prospective debate opponent in an enormous way. She practically kneecapped Kamala Harris for the presidential bid in that election. She can do it again real easy. I mean, not that it's hard to run rings around Kamala Harris, but Tulsi Gabbard is a good debater. I think she'd do a good job. Next news story. Columbia protester mocked after asking for food for occupiers. A pro-Palestine Columbia University protester has been mocked for demanding the Ivy League school provide students who had occupied a building with food and basic humanitarian aid. So basically, you're trying to culturally appropriate the actual Palestinians with your terminology. In an impassioned plea, Joanna King-Slutsky, a PhD student in English and comparative literature, not exactly STEM, warned that students illegally occupying university property could die of dehydration and starvation if they were not given supplies. How are they going to be dying of dehydration? Like they're at the police lockup, they don't give them water, there's no faucet or something like that? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, could people please have a glass of water? Miss King-Slutsky, 33, told reporters outside Hamilton Hall, which had been overrun by protesters. Do you want students to die of dehydration and starvation or get severely ill even if they disagree with you? If the answer is no, you should allow basic. I mean, it's crazy to say because we're on an Ivy League campus. Oh, we're Ivy. We're the special ones, by the way. We're the trust fund kids. If it were a basic bitch university, I bet she would shut her fucking mouth. But this is like basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. A journalist replied, it seems like you're sort of saying we want to be revolutionaries. We want to take over this building. Now, would you please give us some food and water? Responding, Ms. King-Slutsky said, nobody's asking them to bring anything. We're asking them not to violently stop us from bringing in a basic humanitarian aid. So I guess, you know, your next Starbucks delivery, the cops aren't supposed to impede that. And it's very, very strange. And her name, Slutsky. Like literally, Slutsky is her last name. She's in her mid-30s and still probably, she's going to die alone with her cats or something like that. A typical leftoid. Her eggs are going dry, as Stefan Molyneux would say. Pizza Slayer, I would have donated more, but my dick's too big. Love you, clankers, and it's my first time donating. 2023 licked balls, but I dropped booze in and picked up working out. Lost 40 pounds since New Year's. Clank, good on you. Excellent. Webster's Wares, 25% off site-wide, using code CLANKER25 until Wednesday to celebrate our 4th kid. Clank, clank, 'tis a good deal. And a follow-up, great job, Slayer. Yeah, any self-improvement you can do. Don't get black-pilled. You're no use to yourself or anyone else if you don't self-improve. Everyone has a vice. Many of us have more than one of them. Ethendril. Hey, Sticks, longtime listener, thanks for your work. You should try bulletproof coffee. Add coconut oil instead of butter. Trust me, be well. Yeah, I've got brand loyalty to Jam and Bean, not just because I get free coffee from them, but it's just really, really good. I think I did I try bulletproof coffee? I don't know if I did, actually. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, adding butter into the coffee, it is good, but it doesn't change the profile enough to be worth the butter. Anti-Piracy League. And truly, goated clanker can figure out the meaning. Hint, Riz equals charisma. Mr. Busterpants brings back lively Trump Clank 2024. Rusta, I recently jumped on Blue Sky as a replacement to Gab, running off everyone, and wow, the Discover tab is just cancer to read through. Blue Sky, never used it. Zachary Antle. Appreciate it. By the way, random, but what's some of your favorite movies in terms of imagery and cinematography? I'm a big photography nerd. Lol. If you want to see a real aesthetically perfect movie, watch Brotherhood of the Wolf. It's a movie from the 2000s about the Beast of Gévaudan. They did an excellent job with that and the choreography. Sparky, Sticks, you drew equivalency between Bill Maher and Jimmy Dore. There's no comparison. It sure seems like you haven't watched Jimmy in a while. Don't fall into the intellectual trap of auto-dismissal. No, I watch his material sometimes. I have no problem with Jimmy Dore. And I'm not drawing a direct equivalency. I'm just saying there are certain liberal commentators who occasionally have a poignant moment where they're trying to help other liberals or the Democrats as a partisan movement, and they always get called like right-wing at that time. Both Dore and Maher have had this happen. Tara the Tooth Warwick's abandoned daughter. Mom's giving out more than water, huh? Dashing rogue. Mr. Busterpants, bring back Live Leak, Trump Clank 24. Yeah, it was a sin when they downed Live Leak. I agree. It was bullshit. Of course, Live Leak sucked as far as its format. It's like they made it look like YouTube, but it was so much more convoluted and didn't really make sense. It had some great shit on it. Daniel Radcliffe, really sad about J.K. Rowling's anti-trans rhetoric. This is from CNN, so of course that's the label they're going with. It's more like J.K. Rowling believes that women exist. Daniel Radcliffe probably understands this. I'm assuming he's had sex in his life. He may have had sex with both boys and girls. I don't know about his proclivities. There's no anti-trans rhetoric coming from J.K. Rowling. She's saying that women deserve to have their own spaces unmolested. I don't understand the problem with this. I guess chivalry is dead. It's dead because of dudes that are perving on women while hiding behind the facade of being trans. I don't claim that the authentic trans individual, they're taking the hormones, they get the surgery, maybe, et cetera, they really genuinely mentally feel like they're the other gender, male or female. I don't have a problem with them. I've had friends that were trans, and they're not perving on anyone. They just want to feel, right in their own body, and I don't have an issue with that. If people want to dress the way they want, fuck how they want, as long as it's all adults and consensual, I don't have a problem with that. I warned years ago that the big problem would fundamentally boil down to perverted, especially males, sometimes females, that want to use the other locker room for malevolent purposes. That is, they're not trans at all, they're just being perverts. J.K. Rowling understands this and says women deserve to have a space where they can guarantee that they'll be safe from intrusion by individuals who may have malevolent intent. Daniel Radcliffe is completely wrong. He thinks that that's anti-trans. Like J.K. Rowling goes around with a chip on her shoulder and says, if a person takes estrogen or testosterone, I have a big problem with them. When J.K. Rowling, who is a far-left, third-wave feminist, is conceived of as being right-wing or having conservative goddamn cultural views, you've lost it. You've completely lost the plot. Jake, and by the way, Dave Daniel, the only reason that any of us are talking about you or know who you are is because she wrote a bunch of books. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you would be literally nothing without J.K. Rowling having you aboard as Harry Potter. And I think originally she wanted a different actor to portray him. I bet she regrets not forcing that issue now. You're going up against Harry Potter. And the leftoids will probably compare her to Dolores Umbridge or something like that. Holy shit. Felix Fanboy Rico sticks to a tarot reading tomorrow. Maybe I could do that. I don't have an encyclopedic memory of the meanings of the tarot cards, though, because I don't do that often. I just dabble with that. I don't believe in tarot cards. I don't consider it part of my occult practice. It's just, they're kind of cool. They're kind of fun. Vij, I was going to go into debt to be a pharmacist, but I moved down South Texas. Oops, still here and still gay. Yeah, wiggle that wang around down there, boy. Yeah, you probably made a good decision. If you're working on an oil rig, you're probably making more money anyway. The Dashing Rogue. It was one time and I didn't come close. Tholadar. Hi, Sticks. What do you think of satanic bands like Ghost or Twin Temple? Ghost, I believe, is more Freemasonic than satanic, actually. When I look at some of the symbolism and stuff there, I think he might be a Freemason or something. They put rituals into the music. Any spiritual significance or just theatrics? Mostly theatrics. It's like with Dark Horse by Katy Perry. She doesn't have any occult understanding at all, but she is advised by her manager, hey, if you put the occult imagery in here, the Christians will talk about your song that they would otherwise ignore, and then you'll get more money. Cha-ching, that's her god, the Benji Greens. Tarl the Tooth Warwick's abandoned daughter. Once per night when Tarl was here, coos in Dutch. The Daily Compulsion. Happy to see Styx is noticing, pleasantly disengaging from the goth. Sean Hannity, sobriquets, America first, Christ is king. May disagree with that last part, but yeah, I mean, I've noticed certain things for a long time. You've got to understand, though, that I have no hate whatsoever for Jewish people and never will, because why the fuck would I want to go around with hate in my heart, number one. And number two, I mean, criticism of the Israeli government is pretty basic bitch. There's a lot to criticize there, so I don't know. I just the civic aspect of this bill is retarded. The Antisemitism Awareness Act will fall through in court anyway. It's I don't even know why they're bothering to pass it. Spinacker Blue 89. Trump to speak at Libertarian National Convention. Big deal? Bigger than we know? Huge deal. It'll get the libertarians' attention and allow Trump to woo an entirely new set of voters. Hasn't happened before. King of Biltong, good morning from Anton's Meat and Eat. Free shipping with code STICKS for your Biltong on BiltongUSA.com and AntonsUSA.com. Check out our Denton or Roanoke, Texas stores if you're in either area. Hashtag Clank Nation. I'll be checking them out sooner than you think, my dude. You're going to go bankrupt feeding me Biltong. Kmart is here. Yesterday, a local business was hacked by Bushnellman hacking group. They were taking pictures of employees through cameras and then threatening them by printing their pictures out on the printer. That's interesting. Yeah, DM me details on Twitter if you can. Sparky. Seems like feds have spent many infiltrators into protests representing both sides in order to foment chaos. Of course they have. Some protests may have more feds than their minions than genuine protesters. It's always a possibility. Sigilstone, had to tune in late today. Tour group came through the plant earlier. I think Ghost actually has a problem with Christianity. Look what they said. Look at what they said about their song Caesarion. Huh. I don't know. I got Freemasonic vibes more than anything else when I watch, like, especially like Square Hammer and some of these other songs. I like Ghost. A great singer. I like his voice too. Biden takes aim at Trump-era tax cuts and his own campaign promise. President misleads blue-collar workers about 2017 law. Yeah, Joe Biden wants the Trump-era tax cuts to expire. Here's what that means for me on a personal level. Another reason why I wouldn't vote for Joe Biden's reelection. It means that my tax brackets go up, albeit marginally. It means that the business tax rate goes up, and so the businesses that I do business with, they have less money to give to me for various goods and services. It means the self-employment write-off is gone, which means I no longer get an offset of a fairly substantial proportion of my federal tax rate because I get hit with a 15% penalty above and beyond all other taxes that I pay for the glory of working for myself. I would end up paying somewhere in $7 or $8 grand additional a year in taxes were they to expire. Another reason I'm pleading with people, if you love your own favorite sticks, please do get out and vote when it comes time. And please do vote for Donald Trump, especially if you're in a swing state, because, that's money that I could use for my daughter or to expand the garden or to buy my inevitable next microphone when it gets folded, spindled, and mutilated in the baggage area at an airport in Detroit. I would appreciate it if you would do what you can to get Trump reelected for my own self-serving purposes partially. All of you, for the most part, got a tax cut too. The child tax credit, the child tax credit expansion would expire. Well, that's wonderful. Joe Biden really promoting families. He's the pro-family candidate or some bullshit like that. Get Trump back in there, and I guarantee that he will extend and probably expand the tax cuts. Can you imagine the damage that would be done right now to the average middle-class family that's wondering, hey, can I take out a side hustle? I take out a gig job, but Biden wants to ban those, so I can't do that anymore. Or I have to get plastic to buy groceries. Imagine when they got 3 kids and the child tax credit is cut in half and their federal tax rate rises. What if they freelance? Oh, shit. Well, there's no longer any offset. You're talking about people who are barely getting by, and that's the hope that they're even getting by at this point with inflation the way it is, spending thousands of additional dollars a year. Do you want to collapse the economy? Because you're going to collapse the economy. As for the tax cuts in general, they were long cast off as being mainly geared towards the rich, but they actually mainly benefited the middle class. It's just that because the super wealthy have so much of the wealth, naturally a larger proportion of the savings are going to go to them, no matter how you design the tax reform, unless you exclude them completely, because the middle class makes less collective money. That's basically the only thing. Anyway, I'm really hoping Trump is reelected, because if those lapse, there will be hard times ahead for people that are making quite a bit of money. Again, I make 6 figures. And I'm looking at the finances and saying, well, I'll get by. I'm not going to starve or have to eat nothing but ramen, which I'm thankful for. But, I might have to plow in additional garden because it gives me a return on investment. And I'd really like to eat more vegetables because, my parents tend to be a little bit meat and potatoes, not complaining about the food quality. But Jesus Christ, have you ever heard of parsnips? I like parsnips. Sparky. We have to keep away from conflating Jews with Israel, agreed. Half of genuine pro-Palestinian protesters in the U.S. are Jewish, and most of their leaders are. Yeah, I've noticed that. Again, there are plenty of Orthodox Jewish groups that are blatantly, literally anti-Israel in some cases. Tarl the Tooth Warwick's abandoned daughter, drugs. He's going to buy drugs. Look how red he is. My drug is the sun. I spent time out in the garden earlier again, too. Spend more time out there later. Now that we've got a rental place, it's got a derelict little garden in back, and I'm going to load it with chamomile and lilies and stuff like that. Pablo Miel. Good morning. If the problem of crime can be tackled in El Salvador, then it can be tackled in San Francisco and New York. Yeah, by nuking them, maybe. It's just a lack of political will. Also, nectarine tree went in the garden. I'm jealous because nectarines I don't think will grow in this climate. Kmart is here. They were also printing out pro-Palestinian propaganda. I think they are Bushnell University activist group. At Bushnellman on Twitter, claimed to have hacked 30,000 printers. Good luck hacking mine. I never have it hooked up because I've never gotten a printer to reliably work in my life. I just can't do it. When this printer here was set up, I had somebody else do it, and I did not physically touch the printer, not even to get it out of the fucking box. If I touch a printer, it stops working, inevitably. I've gone through 4 or 5 different printers. Scanning bed will continue working. The scanner will work fine, which is good for my PDF scanning back in the day and some of my literary stuff that I have to do. Nope, printer will never work again. I'll be able to print things out the first time I use it. The second that it's turned off, I guarantee when it's turned on, it will not print a thing. Anyone else may use the printer. I can do exactly the same thing in exactly the same order as they did it, and it will not work. I am cursed with regards to printers. I don't know what I did to offend the printer god. It's just the way that it is. Sigilstone. I like ghosts too, but looking at, they say, behind the scenes gave me derangement syndrome vibes. As this morning, the sewer was backwashing horrid stench into work, cleared up right before tour arrived. At least it got cleaned up. Spinnaker Blue 89. I'm a historian who specialized in the presidential history. I know Trump will never get a fair share in the rankings. I believe he's better than Reagan and probably ranks with Eisenhower. I would agree with that assessment. And the final news story. New findings point to an Earth-like environment on ancient Mars. They found certain mineral deposits that should not be there on Mars. A research team using the ChemCam instrument on board NASA's Curiosity rover discovered higher than usual amounts of manganese in lakebed rocks within Gale Crater on Mars, which indicates the sediments were formed in a river, delta, or near the shoreline of an ancient lake. The results were published today in Journal of Geophysical Research, Planets. It is difficult for manganese oxide to form on the surface of Mars, so we didn't expect to find it in such high concentrations in a shoreline deposit, said Patrick Gazda of Los Alamos National Laboratory's Space Science and Applications Group and lead author on the study. On Earth, these types of deposits happen all the time because of the high oxygen in our atmosphere, produced by photosynthetic life and from microbes that help catalyze those manganese oxidation reactions. On Mars, we don't have evidence for life, and the mechanism to produce oxygen in Mars' ancient atmosphere is unclear. It's probably because there was life there. And so how the manganese oxide was formed and concentrated here is puzzling. These findings point to larger processes occurring on the Martian atmosphere or surface water and shows that more work needs to be done to understand oxidation on Mars, he added. I have a feeling it's life-related. I've long thought that Mars probably still has life in the subterranean sense. While it is not nearly as habitable as Earth, has a thin atmosphere and the surface is rather dry other than around their glacier areas, the poles of the planet, there are areas, zones in between, where there is temporary running water. Not a lot of it, but it's there. We've found this about the moon. The moon has water on it. They always thought that they keep thinking that the moon is the result of an ancient collision between Earth and another planet, and it's basically a chunk of Earth. But then they discount the concept of it having water on it, even though there would have been water on Earth at the time. So it's never made much sense to me. Only a few years ago, they found out that there was ice on the moon. You know, just below the surface, there's all sorts of water. Actually, it's quite an aquatic moon. It's just all frozen. On Mars, we also have evidence of geothermal activity. Those geothermal vents, insofar as they're there, could easily harbor pockets of life. It could be all over the place, but you'd have to dig down into the planet. BW, Printeronius, the god of printers, is a rabid leftoid. Sigilstone, of course there used to be life on Mars, and the demons destroyed it all. Have these people never played Doom? Tarl the Tooth Warwick's abandoned daughter. If he touches a diaper, he goes back to Vermont. Justin Kaffenberger, I can't stop hate-watching Kyle Kulinski. I troll his audience every chance I get. Do you hate-watch anyone? Don't have to name names. Trump24, Michigan. No, actually, I make more content than I watch other than music at this point. There are a few people that I watch semi-regularly. Tim Pool, The Quartering, Razor Fist, of course, a few others. But I don't absorb a lot of content. I don't have the time to do it. I'm too busy making my own. I make content, and then I go out and garden and do half a dozen other things, and that's basically my day. By the way, I have no problem with this. Don't worry. I'm a workaholic. If I didn't work in the day, like when I take a day off, I don't make my morning videos. I don't edit anything. I don't do anything productive. I feel terrible. I feel fucking horrible. On weekends, it's a little bit awkward because I don't live stream. I mean, I don't mind that because then I am like, but then, what do? I redirect my time to the garden or to reading a book or something like that. Tony the Greaser. It won't let me shout myself out. Well, I can. Yeah, Tony the Greaser. There we go. Let's see. Cat Cans. The moon is only a little bit worse than Mars and so much closer. They should try to terraform the moon. Yeah, I think, would it even hold an atmosphere, though, because of its size, because of its gravity level? It might be futile to try. You can try it, potentially. I think without a molten core, I think it would be difficult, though. Anyways, please send no more super chats because I'll bant here for a few minutes, but I'll go off a little bit early, I think, today because I got to get to the rental property to set up that garden. I get a little bit of work out here in this garden, too, so I've got 2 gardens now. And, I should probably eat more biltong at some point. It's delicious. Crossover Maniac, do you keep up with Ghost Politics? I watch his stuff sometimes. He's a funny dude. He's amusing. I still remember with the Inner Circle thing where apparently you have to pay quite a bit of money to get into his Inner Circle element chat. And I didn't realize that when I was trolling it. And I got a little tipsy and I started posting, as he said, literal shit. I was posting Andy Six memes, deformed penises and stuff like that and saying weird shit and disgusting everyone. And then he went on a wild ramble the next day on his show about it. And that was even funnier. And a great time twice over. I mean, he gave me what I wanted, which was a hilarious time. He's posting literal shit, throwing his beer cans around. It was funny. I like the dude. Yeah. Sparky. Don't know Tulsi well. Her uncle's music minister at my sister-in-law's church, so I've met her. For what it's worth in person, she exudes leadership. Glad she's got her mind right on the Second Amendment. She would do fine. And some people jumped down my throat yesterday, like, well, Tulsi Gabbard this, Tulsi. Okay, I speak from the position of political pragmatism. Do you want Trump reelected? Most of you will say yes. I'm telling you that Tulsi Gabbard is the best person to help him do that. I'm not saying necessarily that I agree with her ideologically on all issues or that she's the one I agree most with. I would like Rand Paul as his running mate. I think that would be the ultimate dream team. But he's not running. Noam, well, a good idea, has probably divested herself of independent support with the dog story. Again, that's not proper, but it's about optics. It's politics. You have to get elected. It's not about what's right or wrong. It's about what the people think is right or wrong. And so the fact that rural voters will largely understand why she shot the hunting dog doesn't translate well to suburban soccer moms or urbanites. It just doesn't do that. And so I'm saying that Tulsi Gabbard is the most pragmatic choice to get him back into the White House. And I desperately need that to happen because otherwise Biden is going to smash me with massive tax increases. So, and start a couple more wars probably, and maybe we'll have World War III. I mean, I have potassium iodide and guns and MREs and stuff like that, but, you know, normally I would like to have them mainly for fun as opposed to having to go and hunt radioactive animals. At least they glow in the dark so I can hunt at night. You know, that's an advantage. Farming your leeks, they glow in the dark. You can farm at night. Okay. Tony the Greaser. Thanks, Kat. Stay cool. Matthew Crockford. Are there things you prefer about the Netherlands? It's really, really laid back, like more so than New England. I mean, it's pretty laid back here in Vermont, but even more so, very cosmopolitan and widespread availability of food. Also, the cost of groceries is a lot less in the Netherlands. It's much, much cheaper than it is here. In the Netherlands, the Dutch go over to Germany to shop because it's even cheaper there. God, you should see their prices. Holy goddamn fuck, you'd be surprised. When Germany is less expensive than your country, you know, you may have economic issues. Sigilstone. New Starfield update says they're going to add ground vehicles for exploring planets that stow away in your ship. Never played it. Not interested, really. Anyways, I'm going to go offline. I thank you to the 4,000 people who tuned in live. I will be live again tomorrow at my normal time, around 11:30 Eastern, like today. I'll also be live with the quartering at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And so I'll be doing a double header, and then we'll go back to the Wednesday show, possibly. I've got to talk to the quartering, actually. I've got an idea for him, but I'll talk to him with him about that later. And so be doing some streaming tomorrow and gardening and my one-off videos and trying to organize work files. And so basically, once again, some weeks I work about 60 hours. It's rewarding. I mean, I'm a workaholic. Trust me, I don't have a problem with entertaining and infotaining people for an extended period of time. Sparky. Tulsi doesn't play it up, but she's Samoan. They're tough. I remember thinking when seeing her on the Democrat debate that she could physically kick everyone else's ass combined, sharing the stage. Yeah, I mean, she's been in the military and shit like that too, so she's a tough gal. And again, it helps when you're young and reasonably attractive. That does help with certain voting cohorts. That's why Chris Christie lost. He's not a bad speaker. His ideology, centrist in nature. Why did he lose? Because he's a fat man. He's morbidly obese. He weighs like 400 pounds. That's literally why. That's about all. Peace out.